Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to Reading Joseph Smith. And it was looking like for a moment that it was going to be just the two of us, me and Bryce. But finally, Gazalem showed up. A number of other people had to drop out for a bunch of different reasons today. But at least we got y'all. We have enough to proceed. Bryce, you want to fill us in on what to expect from this?
God, I don't even remember what happens in Alma 58, 59. Is this more epistles, Gazalem? Do you know? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's boring war stuff and epistles.
Yeah. So, a whole lot of the stuff that we've been recounting, like the past, 5, 6, 7, 8 chapters have just been epistles of military leaders to other military leaders. And I think this is, if I'm reading the section heading, or the chapter heading correctly, I believe this is yet another epistle of a military leader.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So we're on Alma
More
58
chapters.
now, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
So
who's
I'm a
going to
little
read this one?
lost because I'll have to find out where we're at because now since I have my 1830, it's kind of.
Let me see if I can help at all. Let's see. Chapter 27 is
Okay.
chapter 59 is Alma 59. So this is going
Nice.
to be somewhere in 26.
That's a big.
And it
help.
starts with, and behold, now it came to pass. That's wonderful. We get the double hit of the drinking game here. Well,
So who's
there we go.
reading?
Okay.
Either you or Bryce should pick it up.
Okay, fine. Gazalem is definitely refusing then.
I'm just still
And
finding
behold,
myself.
now it came to pass that our next object was to obtain the city of Manti. But behold, there was no way that we could lead them out of the city but by our small bands. For behold, because we like to behold a lot, they remembered that which we had hitherto done. Therefore, because I love words like hitherto and therefore and moreover, we could not decoy them away from their strongholds.
No, they learned with that whole 3 battles, 3 different armies chasing each other through the wilderness last 2 chapters. They're like, oh, we're not doing that stupid thing again. We're smart now.
And they were so much more numerous than was our army that we durst not
Red Durst.
go forth and attack them in their strongholds. Yeah. And it became expedient that we should deploy our men to the maintaining those parts of the land which we had regained of our possessions. Therefore, it became expedient, therefore, moreover, that we should wait, that we might receive more strength from the land of Zarahemla, and also a new supply of provisions. And it came to pass that I thus did send an embassy to the governor of our land to acquaint him
pronounced
concerning
imbecile.
the affairs.
Sorry,
What's
my
that?
mistake. I said it's pronounced imbecile.
That's literally what I heard.
We are talking about it more on here, right?
Oh, yes. To acquaint him concerning the affairs of our people. And it came to pass that we did wait to receive provisions and strength from the land of Zarahemla. But behold, we behold an awful lot. This did profit us but little, for the Lamanites were also receiving great strength from day to day, and also many provisions. And thus were our circumstances at this period of time.
And at no point do they think, maybe we should attack the supply lines and stop them from getting provisions and starve them out. At no point are we making... We did that like 3 or 4 chapters ago. We figured out that attacking supply lines is a great way to win a fight or battle. But here, nope, we have forgotten that tactic in the span of checks notes. The same year that all this shit is
They got those buffalo and bison to go after, I guess. Load up.
You think those would make an appearance in the book? Weird.
And the Lamanites were sallying forth against us from time to time, resolving to strengthen by stratagem to destroy us. Nevertheless, we could not come to battle with them because of their retreats and their strongholds. If they're coming out of their strongholds to attack you, You can't attack them because they'll retreat. I'm a little confused. Right. And it came to pass that we did wait in these difficult circumstances for the space of many months, even until we were about to perish for want of food.
Zarahemla not coming through with their deliveries again. You heard it once, you heard it 1,000 times.
They said 30 minutes or it's free. But it came to pass that we did receive food, which was guarded to us by an army of 2,000 men to our assistance. And this is all the assistance we did receive to defend ourselves and our country from falling into the hand of our enemies. To contend with an enemy which was innumerable.
Ooh.
So you have thousands of men, and they have
2,000.
Innumerable. They have infinite soldiers.
But hey, not a single one of these 2,000 have died. So you know what? They'll put that name immortal to the test.
Just run into battle with your own innumerable army. The little golden flaky things will appear in the sky, and just like all these troops will appear. Yeah. Anyway.
And why are they boo-hoo? Why are they boo-hooing that they only have 2,000 when none of them died and they're like slaughtering all these people? Crazy.
You got the kung fu abilities. the magic kung fu Jedi shit. Why don't you use that? And now the cause of these our embarrassments, or the cause why they did not send more strength to us, we knew not. Therefore we were grieved and also filled with fear, lest by any means the judgments of God should come upon our land to overthrow our and utter destruction.
I like how it's classified as an embarrassment that Zarahemla didn't send more reinforcements. Last time we asked, they sent a little more, but this is I don't really. Let's just not.
And
a bunch
of little boys too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
bunch of little airbender kids with magic power. Therefore, we did pour out our souls in prayer to God, that he would strengthen us and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. Yeah. And also give us strength that we might retain our cities and our lands and our possessions for the support of our people. Yeah. And it came to pass that the Lord, our God, I have to tell you who the Lord is, because you might get confused which Lord I might be talking about. The Lord, our God.
He hasn't made an appearance in a really long time. So, we've had like 4 or 5 new Nephites since the last time God was talked about in the book. I get it.
Yeah. The Lord our God did visit us with assurances that he would deliver us. Insomuch that he did speak peace to our souls, and did grant unto us great faith, and did cause us that we should hope for our deliverance in him. Did he do the feeding of the 5,000 people while he was there? Hey God, you know what? We haven't got any deliverers. Could you maybe poof us up some food, like maybe some machine guns, armor? I don't know. They're just. Can you do something? Fuck all. Can you do?
That whole pillar of fire stuff that you were into like 2,000 years ago. Can you bring some more of that back? Doing the greatest hits.
Oh man.
And we did take courage with our small force which we had received, and were fixed with the determination to conquer our enemies, and to maintain our lands and our possessions and our wives and our children, and the cause of our liberty.
Captain Moroni.
And thus we did go forth with all our might against the Lamanites, who were in the city of Manti. And we did pitch our tents by the wilderness side. By the wilderness side.
As opposed to the not wilderness side?
By the wilderness side, which was by the wilderness side, which was near to the city.
Manti.
What is?
Hey, I've camped in those mountains before. It's beautiful up there.
Is this the countryside? Is that what they're? I guess that's the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's all country out there in Manti.
And that's what you get if you have a city of
suburbs.
If you have a city of millions of people, then some won't need won't know what the countryside is, what the wilderness is. Never been there.
And it came to pass that on the morrow, that when the Lamanites saw that we were in the borders by the wilderness which was near the city, that they sent out their spies round about us, that they might discover the number and strength of our army. And it came to pass that when they saw that we were not strong, according to our numbers, and fearing that we should cut them off for their support, except that they should come out and battle against us and kill us, and also supposing that they could easily destroy us with their numerous hosts, therefore they began to make preparations to come out against us to battle.
When you're laying siege to a city and the defending army wants to come out and fight you outside of the city, you just wait for that to happen. That's like when they're in the city is their stronghold. And when they leave the stronghold, they are no longer strong. It's like, this book is written post-Napoleon era. That's what's so frustrating here, is that like Napoleon pioneered so many tactics that advanced the age of military into the artillery era. And like Napoleon's tactics were being dissected and studied across the world from about 1810 on. And this book is written in that time frame, and it will not even acknowledge the most basic siege warfare tactics that humans have understood and have been employing for literally thousands of years. The book can't comprehend the most basic tactics of military.
Well, Joe didn't want to be accused of anachronisms.
Here's what I would do.
Clearly a concern.
You set up the camp. You pitch as many tents as possible. Make it look like there's as many tents as you can imagine there, and you have all these fires going, and just have a very few men like banging a bunch of drums and making a bunch of noise and trying to be as loud as they possibly can, while the main force of your army sneaks around the back of the stronghold, so that when the enemy comes out of the stronghold and rushes into, they're going to rush into an empty campground, and then as soon as they're out, you charge in and close the door behind you, and now they're out, you're in, and you win.
There you go. Have the the Nephites, the Helamites, I guess they are, ever considered like large wooden horses or something? Like there are some strategies we can fall back on here.
Get a large wooden badger. And when they saw that we were making preparations to come, when we saw that they were making preparations to come out against us, behold, I caused that Gid, with a small number of men, should secrete himself in the wilderness.
Secrete himself in the wilderness, like the bears.
Jeez, good.
Do bears secrete in the woods? And also that Teomner and a small number of men should secrete themselves also in the wilderness.
They pitch their tents in the wilderness. Where else are they secreting? I'm sorry.
I know, right?
It's all just wilderness out here.
Now Gid and his men were on the right, and the others on the left. And when they had thus secreted themselves, behold, I remained with the remainder of my army in that same place where we had first pitched our tents against the time that the Lamanites should come out to battle. And it came to pass that the Lamanites did come out with their numerous army against us. And when they saw, when they had come and were about to fall upon us with the sword, I caused that my men who were with me should retreat into the wilderness. Run away!
They bravely fled.
And it came to pass that the Lamanites did follow after us with great speed, for they were exceedingly desirous to overtake us, that they might slay us. Therefore they did follow us into the wilderness, and we did pass by the midst of Gid and Teomner, in so much that they were not discovered by the Lamanites.
I just love how, just like the second verse in this chapter was like, they weren't going to fall for that decoy bullshit again. So we did the same thing just now, and it worked.
All right, what the hell?
This book is so
it sounded for a minute like they were going with my plan to sneak the main army around to the back, and so when they charge out into the campground, you just run the army into the city. Yeah, that's what it sounded like they were going to do. No, they just ran the army off into the woods. Run away, run away, run away. And then you hide 2 guys? And what are they going to do?
They got a small
Okay.
band with them, I think.
Sure. And it came to pass that when they had cut them off, they ran to the city and fell upon the guards who were left to guard the city, insomuch that they did destroy them and did take possession. That is my plan.
Hang on. You did skip a verse, though. This is important military tactics we're learning here. You skipped 20.
I skipped 20. And it came to pass that when the Lamanites had passed by, or when the army had passed by, Gid and Tiomner did rise up from their secret places and did cut off the spies of the Lamanites that they should not return to the city. And it came to pass that
I'm sorry. Just the logistics of this, right? So you got Tiomner and Gid on either flank, and then we have the primary army that's running away, retreating in between these two, flanking armies. Right? Good tactics. You surround the enemies. Good job. That's awesome. But somehow, amidst the armies like rushing in between these two armies, there's the spies were found in all of this, and they just killed the spies. Why not the army itself?
Don't the spies follow behind the army? I do get the thing about let the army march forth, and then Frodo and Sam can sneak in.
Exactly.
Okay, so where am I at now? Let me
now.
20. Will you stop it, dog? Calm the fuck down. All right. And it came to pass that when they had cut, hold on a second. Fucking dog.
And it came to pass that when they had cut them off, they ran to the city and fell upon the guards who were left to guard the city, insomuch that they did destroy them and take possession of the city. Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Aaron.
Good job.
This was done because the Lamanites did suffer their whole army, and save for a few guards only, to be led away into the wilderness. I told you.
You're a prophet.
And then just run in and take it over. And it came to pass, because everything comes to pass, that Gid and Tiomner, that Frodo and Sam by this means had obtained possession of their stronghold. And it came to pass, because everything comes to pass, that we took our course, having traveled much in the wilderness towards the land of Zarahemla, where we were going to complain about our late deliveries. And when the Lamanites saw that they were marching toward the land of Zarahemla, they were exceedingly afraid, lest there was a plan laid to lead them to destruction. Therefore, they began to retreat into the wilderness again. Yeah, even back the same way which they had come. I'm having a little trouble visualizing this. So you have this massive army chasing a little army, and the little army is running off to the land of Oz or whatever. And then when they realize, they're running to some other, we have to run away in fear the other direction.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, all right, Manti, Zarahemla, big Zarahemla. The Manti is controlled by the Lamanites. Zarahemla is the big Nephite stronghold, capital city, right? So they like the army, the diversionary army, the decoy army, once again led the Lamanites out of Manti towards the city of Zarahemla. And the Lamanites, once they realize, they're like, oh shit, we don't want to siege the stronghold of the Nephites. We're going to turn around and go back to Manti. But little did they know, somebody snuck in there behind them. Those rascally Nephites.
I'm dealing with all this noise. What is all this crunching and crushing noises? And this is a beer can that my dog pulled out of the trash can so that he could maul that, like he's done every other thing that he can get his jaws on in this house. All right, let me just read a couple of these comments because they're stacking up quick. Mark Smith offers $2 and says they are beholders.
I'm standing there, anti-magic cone. You're fucked.
I know somebody plays D&D. John Klein offers $5 and says, "Can we get to the knights who say knee?
Knee high?
Yeah, knee high." And then Bruno Zygerts offers $2 Canadian, says, "So the Nephi were Fremen." Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we are mixing up a whole bunch of fictitious books. And then Iconiker says, and it came to pass that they left a giant wooden tapir for the
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Zygerts offers $5 Canadian. It's yes.
I put it in the chat. The tapir actually would be a good idea because they could have a chute for easy exit in the prehensile thing that the tapirs have.
I was gonna say, but I mean, I don't think they had enough redwood trees nearby that they could make it anatomically correct.
Yes, fair.
Bruno's escalator up.
Offers $5 Canadian and says the Gauls charged out of Alicia, but they were trying to link up with the relieving army. Maybe Joseph Smith only read about the first part.
Probably.
Yeah.
Then Mark Smith offers $2 and says it's not a proper stream without the dogs. Yeah, wow, that's what the one thing I needed in my life was another puppy. Okay. And back to reading. Now I'm on 25 now.
Yes.
I still haven't found my place.
And behold, it was night, and they did pitch their tents. For the chief captains of the Lamanites had supposed that the Nephites were weary because of their march, and supposing that they had driven their whole army, therefore they took no thought concerning the city of Manti.
What are we out here again? We're not defending a city. Oh, I forgot. Whatever. Let's go home, guys.
Hey, we're camping again. Now it came to pass that when it was night, I caused that my men should not sleep. You know, I've caused that my neighbors should not sleep many times, but I never phrased it that way. I caused that my men should not sleep, but that they should march forward by another way towards the land of Manti. Hey, we've all pitched our tents. Break them down again. Let's go. Wouldn't it have been more brilliant to just like not stop? Anyway, yeah. And because of this, our march in the nighttime, behold, on the morrow, we were beyond the Lamanites, insomuch that we did arrive before them at the city of Manti. So they marched all day, and they marched all night, and now they're there, and they got away because these people only work by day, I guess.
Yep. The Lamanites took their nappy poo and
took their nappy poo. And thus it came to pass that by this stratagem we did take possession of the city of Manti without the shedding of blood.
Whoa. Except those guards that they left behind. Fuck them.
Yeah, I guess they're terracotta guards. Maybe they don't have
they're just grotesques, just looking menacingly.
Oh God!
And it came to pass. Our favorite sentence ever.
Yeah, you know, it's a good thing I'm on water today.
Yeah,
water only for this
one.
one.
my stream choices right now. Oof.
Yes, and my kidney stone came to pass.
You wish, go.
After playing a drinking game with this book, yeah, I get
it. It's not coming to pass.
That when the armies of the Lamanites did arrive near the city and saw that we were prepared to meet them, they were astonished exceedingly and struck with great fear, insomuch that they did flee into the wilderness.
Now, I just want a clarification here. The Lamanites left the city of Manti that they were there to defend in order to chase the army that was attacking their city. They left their stronghold. And then as they were out, that's when the invading armies came into the city. They somehow conquered this with no bloodshed. And
no.
I'm getting the impression that they traded
about
cities.
The non-combatants? What about all of the people who were in the city when the city was sacked? No,
well, there wasn't anybody because everybody left.
Everybody?
Well, yeah, everybody left. And so what they did was they had this city here and this city here, and so these people left this city to go to, and they snuck around the back because they ran through the wilderness. So all the other people came out. And they were going to go this way, but they were, they're going to Zarahemla, so we should go to their city. So they just basically traded cities.
Yeah. Zarahemla is the Lamanites city now.
Woohoo!
But behold,
Behold.
They have carried with them many women and children out of the land. Because women and children are both commodities here.
Yep.
And those cities which had been taken by the Lamanites, all of them were at this period of time in our possession, and our fathers and our women and our children are returning to their homes, all save it be for those who were taken prisoners and carried off by the Lamanites.
So the book's done. The Nephites won. All of the Lamanite cities are under Nephite control. The book is done. That was the last chapter. That was the last
Yay.
verse. We're good, right? Nephites win. The
Woohoo.
good guys win. The rest of the inhabitants of Native America were all white-skinned, righteous Nephites when Columbus arrived.
What?
But
Wait.
behold, our armies are small to maintain so great a
Oh.
number of cities and so great
Oh.
possessions.
Oh no.
Well,
Spread
it's
too
not the
thin.
size of your army, it's how you use it.
It's like,
I'd have
I
my
seem to
own
recall
castle.
I seem to recall other military leaders who spread themselves too thin in their tyrannical empire expansion.
Yes,
Yeah,
me
that's
in
right.
every
I
game
just
of Risk
I
ever
just called
played.
Helaman Hitler. I just did that. I just made that equivocation.
But behold, because we have to say behold in every fucking
Behold.
we trust in our God who has given us victory over these lands, insomuch that we had to do all of the work and
Right?
give credit. Yeah. Insomuch that we have obtained those cities and those lands which were our own. We have obtained what was already ours. Thanks, God. Now we do not know
Mysterious ways.
the cause that the government does not grant us more strength. Neither do those men who came upon us know why we have not received greater strength.
Even the Lamanites are like, that Zarahemla, did they stiff you on a shipment again? Sorry, guys.
But then we discovered a casket of Viagra.
Oh, whoa.
We pushed more
Behold,
tent.
we do not know. Behold, we do not know. How do you behold what you do not know? Behold,
Good
we do
point.
not know, but what ye are But what ye are what? No, just read this sentence again. But okay, behold, we do not know, but what ye are unsuccessful.
What year? Unsuccessful.
Yeah, that's a sentence. And ye have drawn away the forces into that quarter of the land. If so, we do not desire to murmur.
All right. I read verses like that, and all I can think of is poor John Gilbert, the guy who was
I know,
typesetting the
right?
Book of Mormon, reading the original manuscript that had no punctuation and had to make some kind of sense of this fucking tripe. He's like, oh, not fucking semicolon here. I don't know who's he talking about. Poor John Gilbert.
He's a hero.
And if it is not so, behold, we fear that there is some faction in the government that they do not
The
send
deep state.
more men to our assistance.
The deep state.
For we know that they are more numerous than that which they have sent. But behold,
Behold.
it mattereth not. We trust God will deliver us, notwithstanding the weakness of our army, and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, which if God was really paying attention, maybe we wouldn't have so many fucking enemies.
That, and also, like,
Good point.
this is a point. If you're writing a fictional story, there's an opportunity to build tension in the plot line here. They requested troops from Zarahemla, but Zarahemla didn't send all the troops that they know that Zarahemla had. What is going on? It's clearly, it's alluding to the deep state conspiracy here. But hey, look, here's plot development. And then the very next verse is like, God's got our back. That plot tension doesn't matter. We don't need that. We don't need stakes in this storyline. We got God. We got a superhero who's gonna come and rescue the day and shoot fucking lasers out of his eyes. It's just so goddamn lazy.
Well, no, not okay. So he's going to shoot lasers out of his eyes, and these are Jewish people. And now God is above the firmament. God is out in space. So you're telling me that there really are Jewish space lasers?
Oh no!
Come from the planet nearest the star Kolob. Yes, that's where they originate.
And those sons of the people of Ammon, of whom I have so highly spoken, are with me in the city of Manti, and the Lord has supported them. Yeah. And kept them from falling by my sword, by the sword, insomuch that even one soul has not been slain.
So why are they complaining about those 2,000 people? The 2,000 soldiers, none of them been slain, and they're like, our army isn't strong enough. That's a pretty strong fucking army.
I saw Aragorn take on 40 orcs by his fucking lonesome. Okay.
2,000 warriors with plot armor can decimate millions. Like, come on. Granted, let's just own up to it. They got plot armor. They can't die right now.
But behold, they have received many wounds. Nevertheless, they stand fast. No arms, but they're still standing. It's just a flesh wound. They've received many wounds.
I'm gonna bleed on them.
But a scratch. They stand fast in that liberty wherewith God has made them free. And they are strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. Yeah. They do observe to keep his statutes and his judgments and his commandments continually. And their faith is strong in the prophecies concerning that which is to come. Because the prophecies about shit that already happened seem counterproductive. And now, my beloved brother, Moroni.
Well, hey, wait a minute.
God,
I gotta cut in. How is this Moroni's brother, unless it's like, hey, brother? Because he's calling him his brother. So this is Helaman,
Ammon
right?
Moroni's brother?
I thought it's Helaman that was talking.
Is this Helaman? Shit. Helaman Gid and Tiomner takes city man. Oh, so this must be Helaman. Wait, what are the brothers of Moroni? Because it was Ammon, the dude who cut off the arms, and wait, yeah, Helaman is a brother of Ammon, right? Or of Moroni.
Oh, I've just never put that together.
And then Alma the Younger, right? Those are the three missionary brothers, right?
Yeah, I'd have to check back. I don't remember.
No, chat, chime in. Did I get this right? Please chime in, chat. Our former Mormon viewers. I don't actually know. I'm like 90% on this one. So
see, this is one of the things that tells me that we're dealing with multiple authors here, because previously in earlier books, they would say, wherein I, Nephi, did this thing, they would identify who they are, right? Well, they've stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And so now we don't know. But, and now, my beloved brother, Moroni, may the Lord our God, who has redeemed us and made us free, keep you continually in his presence. Yeah. And may he favor his people, even that ye may have success in obtaining the possession of all that which the Lamanites have taken from us, which was for our support. And now, behold, I close mine epistle. Ooh, I got my dick stuck in it. I am hell of a man, the son of Alma.
There you go.
So Moroni is Alma's dad. Is that what it's saying?
No, Alma is it was Alma the elder who had the sons Alma, Helaman, and Ammon. Alma the younger is the one who had the 3-day pass out experience, and then Ammon went and proselytized to King Noah, and then Helaman is the one that we're talking about here, right? Helaman is like the military youth.
You mentioned the 3-day pass out experience. I remember those too.
Right? I mean, hey, check out my article on this, right? On psychedelics and early Mormonism, right? But I do want to point out here really quickly, that verse is a really critical verse when we're kind of considering the motivations that go into these armies battling each other, right? It says, the Lord favored them, these people, because they had success in obtaining the possessions of all of that which the Lamanites have taken from us. No, you just conquered the Lamanite cities. They didn't conquer that from you. You just stole their land. But because these are the Nephites, these are God's chosen people, of course, they get to lay claim to whatever land and say that this is their promised land. Therefore, God has blessed us to conquer it. You are occupying our promised land by God. Therefore, we're going to kill all of you so that we can take the land. That is the thesis of this entire chapter and what just now happened with these soldiers and Manti and Zarahemla. So just pointing that out, anytime that somebody says, this is my land because God says so, you're in for a really fucking bad time.
Sounds
So,
familiar.
Gazalem, have you caught up?
I have.
Prepare thyself, because you're reading the next chapter.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm gonna read-
Woohoo!
I'm going to read some comments, but just before we get there, there's Mark Smith offers $5 and says, how do you behold what you do not know? Young Earth creationists and flirfs do it all the time. Yeah, good point. And then I think this name is pronounced Kinko Kitsumi, offers £2 and says they were pitching tents before the Viagra.
The Viagra edition might have been pseudepigrapha, but it's an anachronism, and there are so many of them in the book. I don't fault you for missing it.
Okay. Are you ready, Gazalem?
Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 30th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, after Moroni had received and had read Helaman's epistle, he was exceedingly rejoiced because of the welfare.
Your past tense, exceedingly rejoiced.
That's what it says. It says exceedingly rejoiced.
The way that this is written, this is dumb.
I didn't know if they corrected it.
Nope, that's how it is. That's the modern one too.
To continue.
Yeah. The exceeding success which Helaman had in obtaining those lands which were lost. Yea, and he did make it known unto all the people in the land, in all the land around about, in that part where he was, that they might rejoice also. And it came to pass that he immediately sent an epistle to Pahoran. Oh yeah, Pahoran.
Hell yeah.
That Pazahoran. Desiring that he should cause men to be gathered together to strengthen Helaman, or the armies of Helaman, insomuch that he might with cause maintain the part of the land which he had been so miraculously prospered in retaining.
Okay,
And
so
it came to
miraculously prospered. You past tense, you've been miraculously prospered.
Yeah, that's what we just read about how they took the land of Manti by leading out the defending army to chasing them out and then like sneaking into the city. No bloodshed. So that's what it's talking about here, right? So this is Moroni
just as I
saying,
predicted, which makes me a Mormon prophet.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is Moroni sending an epistle, a letter to Pahoran, I think in Zarahemla, and being like, hey, why the fuck didn't you guys show up when we asked for reinforcements? And this is Pahoran, like this is the letter that Pahoran is reading from Moroni.
I'm getting pissed at all these epistles. And it came to pass when Moroni sent this epistle to the land of Zarahemla, he began again to lay a plan that he might obtain the remainder of those possessions and cities which the Lamanites had taken from them. And it came to pass that while Moroni was making preparations to go against the Lamanites to battle.
Does yours say what that? And it came to pass that while Moroni was making preparations, because mine says was thus making preparations.
Yeah, I skipped the thus.
You can't do that because I'm amused at the disparity between your version of this book and mine, because there shouldn't be multiple versions at this point.
And the typesetting's so weird that there's like these big spaces between it, so it looks really weird on my page.
Okay, my
So
apologies. Continue.
there's my excuse. The people of Nephi, which were gathered together from the city of Moroni, and the city of Lehi, and the city of Morianton, were attacked by the Lamanites.
Oh,
Yea,
God.
Yea, even those which had been compelled to flee from the land of Manti, and from the land round about, had come over and joined the Lamanites in this part of the land.
Yeah,
and thus
look,
being
that's what happens when you have an orphaned army who no longer has a city to defend. They're like, hey, we're gonna go reinforce the other Lamanites who are in the land roundabout to make their fighting force stronger. The army that you led out of the city of Manti didn't fucking VoIP out of existence when you took the city. They were still combatants ready to kill you. It's just so juvenile. I'm sorry. I shouldn't get so riled up about how stupid this book is, but like I fucking devoted my entire life to believing that this book is God's words. So like I just get a little invested in this reading of it. What can I say?
I want to hear a little bit more about that. Can we take a minute and just let me understand that? Explain that to me. How you spent your life trying to convince yourself that this book, you had already read this book, and you're still convincing yourself that this is the Word of God. Is that correct?
I read this one time as a teenager, and the only reason that I read it was because the prophet at the time challenged all members to read the Book of Mormon within a year's time. He declared it over the pulpit. Gordon B. Hinckley said you need to read the Book of Mormon. So we did. We made a family scripture study every night or every other night or whatever it was to get through the Book of Mormon in a year's time. That's the only time I had ever read, or I ever read through this book top to bottom as a believing Mormon. But it was so... I just want to say clinical, I think is the best way to describe it, because we were reading the text and talking about the text and not considering the reality of it. We were examining it within, like you're motioning there, Gazalem, like within very strict confines that what is happening in this text is the word of God, and therefore like this supersedes reality. Reality doesn't apply to this book because this book exists in a realm of God and God's scriptures. Therefore, whatever happens in reality is separate and distinct from this book. Now, I never read this book as a believing adult because I stopped believing in the church when I was like 16 years old. So I can't shed light on it on like being a believing member trying to make logical sense of this. But I mean, like Shannon, right? She read it more than 60 times on her mission, trying to make sense of it, trying to make it work, trying to learn more about her belief structure. I can't put my mind in that space because I never cared about this book when I was a believing member. It's only after that I left that I studied it and I was like, wow, this is a really stupid book. Why did I believe in this? I can only read this book through a retrospective lens, never through the believing Mormon lens.
I have heard people try to explain with not with the Book of Mormon, but with the Bible or the Quran, how they earnestly tried. It had emotional investment of some kind where they needed to make it be what it obviously wasn't, and they continually struggle that this can't be the Word of God, but I've got to convince myself that it is. And I've just always been kind of interested in what goes on in the human psyche when you're trying to convince yourself of something that you already know is not true. So I'm sorry if I asked you a question that. Yeah. I'm sorry if I asked you a question that doesn't really apply to you. Maybe it applies to Shannon. It applies to a couple of people that I've talked to on the on my An Infidel Reads the Quran series. I've heard from Christians too that struggled so hard to make themselves believe this thing until they just can't anymore.
Well, let me chime in really quick because it's interesting growing up Mormon and in the church because we're taught that this book is more important than the Bible itself. And the reason is because it's directly translated by Joseph Smith, a prophet. It doesn't have all this other translations that it had to go through and get corrupted. And so for it to be like this perfect book with Jesus in America and everything is like straight from the word
spoilers.
of God.
Don't tell us what's going to happen.
Well, we already have Jesus showing up in here. He's all over from the very first book. It's crazy.
Well, I would love to hear what chat has to say about it too, because I want to hear anybody in chat, because I know that this show draws a lot of former believing members, formans. So I would love to hear what your thoughts and your perspectives. This is just a limit of my experience that I can't access studying this or on the mentality of studying this through the believing lens, but I'm hoping that some people in chat can kind of chime in on what their experience is on this. And, if you want to super chat it, awesome, we'll read it on the show, but maybe some people will show up in the chat that won't be super chats that we can read, because it is an exercise of cognitive dissonance, and it is an interesting aspect of human psychology that you're reading something that can't be true, but you've been conditioned your entire life to believe that it is true with a capital T, that it is trademark true, that it is true that transcends all other quote unquote truth claims on earth. And it exists in a separate sphere. That's how I remember the first time that I was learning about evolution in science class in junior high. And I was like, what? This doesn't work with the Bible. This doesn't work with the Book of Mormon. This doesn't work with my religious beliefs. And that was the first time that I had to compartmentalize my mentality about the real world and scientific world, and then the God world. And the God religious world is completely separate and distinct from these two. I saw a sharp dividing line between the two. And once the twain met, that's when I started having a faith crisis. That's when I no longer believed in the church, that it's like, oh, wait, all of the ways that we use to understand scientific methods of understanding reality, we can also apply that to the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is not exempt from science. Once I was able to bridge that gap in my mind, that's when the Book of Mormon completely shattered. There was nothing left over from it.
There's the indoctrination too, though, because when your family, especially growing up in Utah, when everybody around you, your entire neighborhood, we had one family on our whole block that was Catholic, and that was it. Everybody else was Mormon.
Yeah.
And so
big part of
you're
it.
just in the mindset, and everybody's believing that same thing. You don't go against the grain of what everybody else is thinking. Well, I thought the whole world thought this way.
Yeah. Same with me. When the first time I moved out of Utah was a revelation for me, because I was driving around, because I lived in Colorado immediately after leaving Utah, and it was really strange for me the first time that I was driving around and I saw a Mormon church, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen one of those for weeks. But when you're driving around in Utah, you see a Mormon church no matter where you go. So it was totally weird to leave Utah, leave the Mormon bubble, and access a world that isn't totally Mormon everything. And then you realize that not everything is Mormon. And that was a revelation in and of itself. And I would not have had that experience unless I lived outside of Utah. And there are a lot of Mormons who never leave the state except for their mission. So everything about their life is curated by the church and by the church's experience and by the church being an ever-present omni force that just exists as a fact of reality. And leaving that geography has an empowering effect on breaking that indoctrination that you're talking about, Gazalem.
Yeah, it really does.
All right, I've got a couple more chats to read, which I'm sure Bryce invited. So we have 1020 Carrie says, "What is the python's name?" Sorry, should have predicted that. I brought out my 6-month-old 4-foot long. He's up a tree right now. Here, he's up this tree. Can you see? Yeah, he's up that tree. Anyway, I brought out my 6-month-old 4-foot long reticulated python, and his name is Jormungandr.
Oh, cool.
Right. Yeah, the world serpent. And he's coming back to, he grew 6 inches last month, and he grew 6 inches the month before.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's expected to be 9 feet long by the time he's 2 years old, and will probably be on the range of about 12 to 14 feet and roughly 100 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, he's gonna be a big snake.
That's a pet that can kill me. I'm not interested in having it in the house.
All right. So then the next comment is Aunt Jer says, because you're taught that you can't trust your own thoughts.
Bingo. That is it.
Any thoughts about it being untrue must come from Satan. I forget the Bible verses about not trusting your own thoughts. And I just had this argument with a believer a little bit ago today, in social media. They often bring up that if God doesn't exist, then you can't know anything. How the fuck could you know anything if you think that facts don't matter and that everything is at the arbitrary whim of some inexplicably insecure narcissist who just makes shit look like that when it doesn't mean anything? If you have to believe on faith things that are not evidently true, that are even impossible, then how can you know anything? Why are you questioning whether other people can know shit? I know plenty of ways to know shit when there is no God. I don't know how you know shit when there is one.
No, right.
I mean, it's just a case of like the grand design of special pleading that exists with religion, right? And it's not just like I say this, tapping into my Mormon experience and everything that is Mormon, but I think it applies quite broadly. That like there is a bit of special pleading that goes into the faith proposition, that you have to believe things, that faith is believing things that are not evidently true. Believing in something when the fact may contradict it, right? It is a case of special pleading that no matter what heuristic you're using to understand something, that when you're talking about a religious text, it doesn't abide by those same standards. It applies to its own standards, and those own standards are always, at least this is the language and terminology in the Mormon culture, the still small voice. It's how you feel internally about what you are reading after you pray about it. That is the heuristic to know if something is true, is how you feel about these things. And it is just a grand orchestrated case of special pleading. And religion falls under this grand umbrella of this special pleading. And that's how I was able to make this work while learning actual science in Utah public schools. I know, beggars belief, but yes, they do teach actual science in some Utah public schools. That's how I was able to compartmentalize these two concepts, totally separate and distinct from each other.
Yeah, the manual for creating atheists was a huge help on me. In fact, Bryce, I think you were the first person to ever really use the Socratic method on me and stuff, when we were talking about something. And this was years and years ago.
Was Bryce instrumental in your deconversion, Gazalem?
In the sense that he introduced me to a lot of atheism, and so like the Scathing Atheist, and then that turned me on to your stuff and to everything else. I just didn't know anything about atheism. I was an agnostic, and it just opened my whole world up. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I was not aware.
I mean, like, because Gazalem and I first met after I did a live show in Salt Lake City, and this is the first time I'd ever met them. And we sat down, and the stark memory that I have from that night, because you and I were exploring all sorts of very esoteric ideas. The stark memory I have from that night is that you were working to convince me that a car is a time machine, because you essentially gain back time that you would have gained otherwise if you had traveled by foot or by horse or whatever the case was. And I was like, what the fuck is this person talking about? But, you and I continued to talk over years and years and years and became very good friends. But yeah, that was our first introduction to each other.
Yeah, I love you, man.
That was interesting. Thank you. So, my python is coming back to me. This one thing I really love about this snake. He is a puppy. Yeah, they're dangerous. They have this reputation, but they hardly ever eat their owners. Almost never.
Hardly ever is not enough for me. When cats eat their owners, it's after the owners have died. That's why I have cats.
Eat your tongue and your eyes, and
that's right. Soft tissues.
But yeah, I took this snake out to a literal pub crawl a few days ago when it was a good warm day. It was like 80 degrees, and I figured it would be one of the last warm days of the year. And I took him out to this pub, and I set him on the table, and I just put him on the table, and I broke out this other bin where I had this giant boa, and I handed the boa to somebody else, and I sat down to have my beer or whatever, and the snake was just reaching out to me. He doesn't want to crawl away. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go explore whatever. He just wanted to come back to me and to be on me, and it was so endearing.
Really cute.
He is. I absolutely love this snake. He's adorable. If you could only see what's happening just off camera. He is such a peach. All right, so Skeptical Brain says, I think I subconsciously knew it was cartoonish at some points of my belief. I just turned those thoughts off. I
That's
get
a big
that.
part
Turn
of
it
it.
off.
Yeah.
Like a
And then,
light switch, just go click.
and then Skeptical Brain
that
adds
story or that song from Book of Mormon, like musical, rings so true to every Mormon who has ever gone in there. It's just turn it off. Turn off the criticism. Turn off the doubts. Turn off anything, any questions. Just turn it off. Shut up. Don't even think about it ever again because it's sinful to do so. Yeah.
the Skeptical Brain adds, I remember having the thought that the Nephi story sounded really fake, but then I just never followed that.
right, because you can't, you are mentally blocked. It is thought-stopping rhetoric. You are blocked from chasing these things intellectually. You are just supposed to read it, have a warm feeling in your heart, and then just continue on to the next verse. And I guess we should probably do that at some point.
Yeah, we should do that. Gazalem, do you remember where we got one more chat come up? Gazalem, figure out where you were. Get ready to take over reading. Let me read this other comment. Winter's Scoop says, I never had a struggle. I believed, and then when I lost faith, I instantly didn't believe. I grieved my lost faith and was mad about the lies I was told.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was mad that I got duped by so many nonsense claims that I bought into.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of the firebrand atheism comes from, is like, I was lied to my entire life. Fuck you for lying to me.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah. All right. So, Gazalem, you know where you are?
Well, I remember the European farm animals thing. I just thought, they just haven't found the evidence yet. That's the thing. They just haven't found the evidence.
The Colombian sheep will show up one day, I promise.
All right, so we're on 59.
That's not going to help me. Is it? And it came to pass that while Moroni was thus making preparations to go up against the Lamanites to battle. Is that it?
I do not know. I think that was. I'm sorry. It was after that. It was the next verse. So somewhere later in the paragraph.
And it came to pass. Yes, take it up from there. Just go ahead with that.
Okay.
And thus being exceedingly numerous. That's where you actually were.
Okay, I'm just going. Behold, the people of. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. And from the land round about had come over and joined the Lamanites in the part of the land, and thus being exceedingly numerous, yea, and receiving strength from day to day by the commands of Amor, they came forth against the people of Nephi-ha. And they did begin to slay them with exceedingly great slaughter. And their armies were
slaughtered. We killed them with slaughter.
Exceeding great slaughter.
And their armies were so numerous that the remainder of the people of Nephi-ha were obliged to flee from them. They're obliged to flee. And they came even and joined the army of Moroni. And now, as Moroni had supposed, that there should be a man sent to the city of Nephi-ha to the assistance of the people to maintain that city, and knowingly that it was easier to keep the city from falling into the hands of the Lamanites than to retake it from them, he supposed that they would easily maintain that city. Therefore, he retained all the forces to maintain those places which he had recovered. And now when Moroni saw that the city of Nephi was lost, he was exceedingly sorrowful, and he began to doubt, because of the wickedness of the people, whether they should not fall into the hands of their brethren. Now this was the case with all his chief captains. They doubted and marveled also because of the wickedness of the people, and this because of the success of the Lamanites over them. And it came to pass that Moroni was angry, and the government he was angry with the government. So we got a government here. Mm-hmm. Because of their indifference concerning the freedom of their country.
Named Ammon being upset with the government.
Nice reference there, Aaron. That dude's a fucking senator or something now, isn't he?
Whoa.
If anyone doesn't know, Ammon Bundy, the Bundys are like the super radical Mormons. Ammon Bundy is the dude who took over the bird refuge in Oregon and got sent the box full of dicks for provisions.
I love that he was sent a crate full of dildos. Do you see this? Do you see how my baby is coming back?
That's beautiful.
Oh,
the mic is kind of covering him, but otherwise, yes, beautiful.
Yeah, he's a fucking puppy. He is
wonderful.
Just
a puppy that will kill you in 2 years. I prophesy in the name of Moroni, huh? All right, chapter 60.
Yes.
Oh, nice. We're at a new chapter. Cool.
Let's do it. And it came to pass, drink, that he wrote again to the governor of the land, who was Pahoran. And these are the words which he wrote, saying, Behold, I direct mine epistle to Pahoran in the city of Zarahemla, who is the chief judge and the governor over the land. That is the first time we learn Pahoran's office. He's king shit, apparently. Chief judge and governor over the land, intermingling executive and judicial branches. Yep, okay. And also to all those who had been chosen by this people to govern and manage the affairs of this war. For behold, I have somewhat to say unto them by the way of condemnation. Why didn't you send me more troops? For behold, ye yourselves know that ye have been appointed to gather together. That is hard to read. To gather together men and arm them with swords and with scimitars, and all manner of weapons of war of every kind, and send forth against the Lamanites in whatsoever parts they should come into our land. So bad. And now behold, I say unto you that myself and also my men, and also Helaman and his men have suffered exceeding great sufferings. Yeah, even hunger, thirst, and fatigue, and all manner of afflictions of every kind. But none of them died because they're plot armor. But behold, this all we had suffered, we would not murmur nor complain. But behold, great has been the slaughter among our people. No, slaughter implies people who have died. These warriors don't die. They have plot armor. What is he talking about? All right. Yea, thousands have fallen by the sword, while it might have otherwise been if ye had rendered unto our armies sufficient strength and succor for them. Yea, great has been your neglect towards us. Moroni is pissed at Zarahemla. And now behold, we desire to know the cause of this exceedingly great neglect. Yea, we desire to know the cause of your thoughtless state. Can you think to sit upon your thrones in a state of thoughtless stupor while your enemies are spreading the work of death around you? Yea, while they are murdering thousands of your brethren? Yea, even they who have looked up to you for protection, yea, have placed you in a situation that ye might have succored them. Yea, ye might have sent armies unto them to have strengthened them and have saved thousands of them from falling by the sword.
Whoa.
But behold, this is not all. Ye have withheld your provisions from them, insomuch that many have fought and bled out their lives because of their great desires which they had for the welfare of this people. Yea! And this they have done when they were about to perish with hunger because of your exceedingly great neglect towards them. Hey, when your soldiers die, there's less of them to sustain, so you need less provisions. That's just kind of Darwinism, right? And now, my beloved brethren, for ye ought to be beloved, yea, and ye ought to have stirred yourselves up more diligently for the welfare and the freedom of this people. But behold, ye have neglected them, insomuch that the blood of thousands shall come upon your heads for vengeance. Yea, for knowing unto God were all their cities' cries and all their sufferings. Behold, could ye not suppose that ye could sit upon your thrones, and because of the exceeding goodness of God, ye could do nothing, and he would deliver you? Behold, if ye have supposed this, ye have supposed in vain. Do ye suppose that because so many of your brethren have been killed, it is because of their wickedness? I say unto you, if ye have supposed this, ye have supposed in vain. For I say unto you, there are many who have fallen by the sword, and behold, it is to your condemnation. For the Lord suffereth the righteous to be slain, that his justice and judgment may come upon the wicked. There you go. The Book of Mormon's solution to the problem of evil. The Lord suffereth the righteous to be slain, that his justice and judgment may come upon the wicked. Upon to God. as long as you your death means something to the expansion of the kingdom of God, then you died for something good. I say unto you, if ye therefore ye need not suppose that the righteous are lost because they are slain, but behold, they do enter into the rest of the Lord their God. Valhalla!
Oh God.
That's
disturbing.
Dangerous shit right there. For were it not for the wickedness which first commenced at our head, we could not have withstood our enemies, that they could not have gained no power over us. Yeah, had it not been for the war which broke out among ourselves, yea, were it not for those kingmen who caused so much bloodshed among ourselves, yea, at the time we were contending among ourselves, if we had not united our strength as hitherto have done, yea, had it not been for the desire of power and authority which those kingmen had over us, had they been true to the cause of our freedom and united with us and gone forth against our enemies, instead of taking up their swords against us, which was the cause of so much bloodshed among ourselves, yea, if we had gone forth amongst them, against them in the strength of the Lord, we should have dispersed our enemies, for it would have been done according to the fulfilling of the word. That was one verse. If anybody can make sense of it, good luck. I
what I got out of it is that these guys are going against the Kingsmen. I've seen the Kingsmen. They fight really, really well. They're as good as the Kung Fu Jedi people.
Is this the TV series? I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm guessing you haven't seen the Kingsmen. Sorry.
There you go. Everyone in chat is like, Bryce, watch something. Better yourself. Broaden your horizons more than the bookshelf behind you. I get it, people. I get it. Only so many hours. But behold, now the Lamanites are coming upon us, taking possession of our lands. And
wait.
All right,
wait.
So...
I'm just getting I can't get the vision of Bukkake out of my head. The Lamanites are coming upon us. Sorry.
A lot of Lamanites.
Yeah. I mean, these are big armies, right? Yeah. I want to add real quick. It says taking possession of our lands. That's a later addition. That whole part, taking possession of our lands, was added at a later time. Continuing on, behold, the Lamanites are coming upon us, taking possession of our lands, and they are murdering our people with the sword, yea, our women and children. and also carrying them away captive, causing them that they should suffer all manner of afflictions, and this because of the great wickedness of those who are seeking for power and authority. Yea, even those kingmen. Now, real quick, this all of this stuff about how bad the kingmen are, this is post hoc rationalization because General Moroni had already genocided almost every person who was a kingman. Apparently there were some holdouts who are still kingmen who are so super duper evil at this point, but who escaped the genocide of the good hero of our story, General Moroni. This is who was talking about, the kingmen. Moroni murdered at least 4,000 of these individuals, just burned them, men, women, children, absolutely no discernment, just killed all of them. So that's who we're still talking about, is the kingmen. But why should I say much concerning this matter? For we know not but what ye yourselves are seeking for authority. We know not but what ye are also traitors to your country. So this is what Moroni is saying here. All this, the Zarahemla not sending enough reinforcements to his armies. And this is his epistle to Pahoran in Zarahemla saying, hey, why didn't you send more people to reinforce us? Are you one of those kingmen? Are we going to have to genocide you like we did all the other kingmen? I'm just summarizing everything in this chapter up to this point. It could have been one verse, but here we are 30 verses later.
Were those last two sentences statements or questions?
Verse 19 here, that is a question. Okay. Verse 20 is a question. These are questions, yeah.
What verse were you on?
21. Or do ye suppose that the Lord will still deliver us, while we sit upon our thrones and do not make use of the means which the Lord has provided for us? Yea, will ye sit in idleness while ye are surrounded with thousands of those, yea, and tens of thousands who do also sit in idleness, while there are thousands round about in the borders of the land who are falling by the sword, yea, wounded and bleeding? Everybody's fighting for you. Why won't you lift a hand to help us? Do ye suppose that God will look upon us or upon you as guiltless while ye sit still and behold these things? Behold, I say unto you, nay. Now I would that ye should remember that God has said that the inward vessel shall be cleansed first, and then shall the outer vessel be cleansed also.
Whoa.
Now, I want to point out really quickly, because this is one of those cases where the corporate Mormon church does not follow its scriptures, which I know beggars belief, but I want to make a point here. Atrocities are going on in their land, and the Pahoran, the leader, the supreme leader, the governor, the chief justice of the reign of judges, this super duper righteous, high ranking government official is not sending reinforcements from the capital city, Zarahemla. And Captain Moroni is saying, you are not guiltless. All of your people are being slaughtered by the tens of thousands, and you are not sending help. And I want to point this out because the modern Mormon church refuses to take a stand on overall political conflicts that are going on. Which is to say, when World War II broke out, the church was like, hey, we should be nice to each other. Because there were so many Nazis or Mormon Nazis who lived in Nazi Germany who were, high-ranking Mormon officials who the church would not speak out against the Nazi party. Similar to any of the world conflicts that have gone on recently, the corporate church refuses to make a statement on one side or the other of large worldwide conflicts because they don't want to be politically imprudent, and also they want to hedge their bets. They want to side with whoever won. So during the conflict, they put out these ambiguous statements, and then after the conflict, they're like, see, look, we supported the alliance all along. Look, we supported Israel all along, or whatever the case may be. This is the de jure of any time that world conflict breaks out. The church comes out with a non-statement, and then after the fact, post hoc, they say that we were on the good guy side all along. And here in the Book of Mormon, Moroni is just absolutely flagellating Pahoran for not taking a side in a political conflict where thousands of his own people were dying. So just pointing that out, hey, for all of those fundamentalist Mormons who say that the current corporate Mormon church is in apostasy, this is one of those passages that they can use to make that claim.
Hell yeah.
All right. Finishing out. Verse 24, and now, except ye do repent of that which ye have done, and begin to be up and doing, okay, and send forth food and men unto us, and also unto
That's a
Helaman.
Southern colloquialism. You have to up and do something.
You got to up and do something.
Get up and do it.
I wanted to say I was accidentally muted a little bit because my dog was going berserk, but I wanted to say I'm just really glad that I get to read, if I'm going to read this awful book at all, that I get to read it with you, explaining everything that I would have just missed all of it.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
It's important to also note that, like, when Mormons read this book, almost never are they reading it top to bottom. What they are doing is they are looking through the scripture index or the topical guide, and they are reading passages. They are reading individual verses or 2 verse 3, whatever verses, in preparation for a talk that they give on Sunday. Never are these verses ever taught in the broader context or within like what it means to take sides in a world conflict or whatever like that applies to this immediate conversation. Very rarely are these passages ever read in the larger context of what's going on. Almost always people are creating a talk, as they're called in the church, and they will look at the topical guide and they'll find one verse that bolsters their claim, and then, or the point or their hypothesis or the thesis that they're making in their talk, and then they will read that one passage and they will move on. So whenever we're talking about these passages and I point out that, hey, Mormons will use this passage to justify X or Y or Z, that's why I pointed out, because so often when these scriptures are ever read in the Mormon church in the context of Sunday school or, sacrament meeting or whatever, it is being done in isolation. These verses are read 1 or 2 at a time, and then they read it to push a narrative, to make a point, and then they move on. So that's why I oftentimes point out that this is something that Mormons use to say something or teach something.
Isn't that how most people read the Bible, though? It's just if they're doing lessons and teachings. I mean, like church people and stuff, because it doesn't seem like they're reading their Bible. You show them some of the horrible stuff in there, and they're like, that's out of context. You're taking it out of context.
Exactly, Gazalem. Yes, wonderful point. Yep.
When you read it out of the Spirit, I think is what they're talking about. Because you're just supposed to believe it. And so anytime you read something that doesn't make any sense or that contradicts what you just read or contradicts your interpretation of the morality or whatever, that's when they say that it's out of context.
Right. Or Mormons have the extra built-in layer of protection and say, oh, well, that wasn't translated properly, because we believe in the Bible as far as it is translated correctly, right?
Jesus wouldn't have ever said that.
Yeah. Jesus was all about God, guns, and country.
And he spoke English.
That's right. He was white as you and me. All right. Sending food and men unto us, and also unto Helaman, that he may support those parts of our country which he has regained, and that we may also recover the remainder of our possessions in these parts. Behold, it will be expedient that we contend no more with the Lamanites until we have first cleansed our inward vessel, yea, even the great head of our government. You know what? That's fair. Root out corruption before you go to war with other countries. I wish more people would follow this model. This makes a lot of sense, right?
I've just never heard that vessel used before, like it was earlier too.
Also, like as you were saying earlier, are in the like different authors, right? We had 20 and it came to pass as last chapter, and we've had 2 this chapter. And this chapter is clearly a summary of what has happened in this form of this epistle. Like this very clearly is reading as somebody else, some different author talking about this. Okay. The remainder of the possessions in these parts, behold, it will be expedient that we contend no more with the Lamanites until we have cleansed our vessels, And except ye grant mine epistle, and come out and show unto me a true spirit of freedom, and strive to strengthen and fortify our armies, and grant unto them food for their support, behold, I will leave a part of my freemen, to maintain this part of our land. And I will leave the strength and the blessings of God upon them, that none other power can operate against them. I'm sorry. So did Moroni just say, hey, if you don't rise up to the challenge and send us men to help defend us, I'll instead pull off some of my men to go defend you? Is that what that text just said? Did I read that right?
I caught that we're definitely dealing with Fremen.
The Fremen are here, yes. With their blue eyes and their little breather masks, yes. But that seems like not the right way to strong arm a leader when you're like, hey, send us more armies. And if you don't, well, I'm going to send some of my guys to help protect you. Kind of stupid.
Weird.
Continuing on, and grant them food for this sport. Behold, I will leave a part of my freemen. And this because of their exceeding faith and their patience in their tribulations. And I will come unto you. And if there be any among you that has a desire for freedom, yea, if there be even a spark of freedom remaining, behold, I will stir up insurrections among you. Oh, now it makes more sense.
Whoa.
Okay. Even until those who have desires to usurp power and authority shall become extinct.
Oh.
This is our good guy, General Moroni, commiserating the military leader, commiserating with the legislative and judicial branch of his government, saying, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to send in my military to usurp you. Good guy Moroni, everybody. This is our good guy. This is our fucking hero. Wow. And shall become extinct. Yea, behold,
Extinct.
I do not fear your power nor your authority, but it is my God whom I fear. We're on a mission from God. And it is according to his commandments that I do take my sword to defend the cause of my country. And it is because of your iniquity that we have suffered so much loss. Behold, it is time. Yea, the time is now at hand, that except ye do bestir yourselves, bestir yourselves in the defense of your country and your little ones. The sword of justice doth hang over you. Yea! And it shall fall upon you and visit you even to your utter destruction.
Boom, boom, boom.
And now I've got another Rocky Horror song stuck in my head. Go ahead.
This is our good guy. I'm just baffled. This is our good guy. When he has a disagreement with the government, he says, I'm going to overthrow the government. This is our good guy. And we wonder why Mormons march on the Capitol in January 6th wearing Captain Moroni garb. This is why. This is why Mormons seek to overthrow the government. Why Mormons are sleeper cells. This shit right here. Fuck.
We got a comment from God's servant to the panel. Says, how do Mormons attain salvation?
They don't. They don't. Mormons don't care about salvation. They care about exaltation.
We're kind of like universalists, like everybody's saved in a way, you know. You have to really fuck up not to be saved in some sense.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain that to God's servant.
Well, there's a whole entire cosmology. It's pretty complex, but to go to outer darkness is the only way that you'd be like put into complete darkness for time and all eternity. But we don't even have hell. We have spirit prison that you have to go to before you get designated to one of the kingdoms and everything. It's complicated.
Gazalem, how do we get there? How do we get to outer darkness, the Mormon hell?
You have to deny the Holy Ghost and apostate.
Yep.
I put in the chat
outer darkness right now.
I put in the chat the answer. I said they receive salvation the same way Christians don't.
All right, and And here we go. And I will come unto you. Let's see. There shall become extinct. We have suffered so much loss. Behold, it is time. Yea, the time is now at hand. I read that one as well. Verse 30. Behold, I wait for assistance from you. And except ye do administer unto our relief, behold, I come unto you. It's a hell of a threat. Even in the land of Zarahemla, and smite you with the sword, insomuch that ye can have no more power to impede the progress of this people in the cause of our freedom. Just to reiterate, the cause of their freedom is Moroni taking over the Lamanite cities through sieging, through subterfuge, through murdering all of the Lamanites. That is his cause of freedom, is conquering all of the Lamanites. And Pahoran is saying, hey, I'm not going to send you extra troops for your, conquering, for your wholesale murder of all of the Lamanites and taking control of their cities. And Moroni is like, you send me those soldiers or I am personally coming to Zarahemla to smite you with the sword. Good guy, Moroni. Just have to reiterate that.
Freedom.
Yep. For behold, the Lord will not suffer that ye shall live and wax strong in your iniquities to destroy his righteous people. Behold, can ye suppose that the Lord will spare you and come out in judgment against the Lamanites when it is the tradition of their fathers that has caused their hatred? Yea, and it has been redoubled by those who have dissented from us, while your iniquity is for the cause of your love of glory and in the vain things of the world. Ye know that ye do transgress the laws of God, because I, Moroni, am God's servant because I said so, and I am telling you the laws of God. Therefore, do what the fuck I say, because I have 2,000 invincible soldiers that will come murder your whole goddamn city, Pahoran. Okay.
And they'll do their Jedi kung fu on you.
That's right. And ye do know that ye do trample them under your feet. Behold, the Lord saith unto me, if those whom ye have appointed your governors do not repent of their sins and iniquities, ye shall go up to battle against them. And now behold, I, Moroni, am constrained according to the covenant which I have made to keep the commandments of my God. Thou shalt not kill, that stuff. Therefore, I would that ye should adhere to the word of God and send speedily unto me of your provisions and of your men, and also to Helaman. And behold, if ye will not do this, I will come unto you speedily. For behold, God will not suffer that we should perish with hunger. Therefore, he will give unto us of your food, even if it must be by the sword. Now see that ye fulfill the word
God will give us your food. The only trick is that we have to take it by our sword. That's how God gives it to us.
Mormons are sleeper cells,
Yahweh.
y'all. That's right. Yahweh or the highway. Behold, I am Moroni, your chief captain. I seek not for power.
What?
Really, Moroni? Fucking really, bro? But to pull it down. I seek
pulling
not
down the
honor.
power.
That's right. I seek not for honor of the world, but for the glory of my God and the freedom and welfare of my country. And thus I close mine epistle. Moroni, our good guy.
Wow.
Fuck.
That's hardcore.
So, yeah. This part was better than the stuff we'd read before.
Was it? I mean, it was more substantive. There was more to talk about, but better.
But it was written so stupidly. The first chapter that I read, and that Gazalem read, at least the one that you read, there was something to appreciate. You got this guy boasting about himself, about how he's gonna come and do your shit if you don't give him what he wants. That was at least something different than what we'd read before. What we read before was just strategically stupid and phrased unintelligibly.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I think that there were so many, and it came to passes in the previous chapters that you were sufficiently drunk for this one.
Can confirm. Well, I mean, look, and like this is what happens when we're reading fiction is we read a bunch of stuff that's minutia, that's details we don't care about, and then conflict arises. We have a conflict between Pahoran and Moroni here. Moroni wants Pahoran to do something. Pahoran doesn't want to do something. Moroni resolves to accomplish his his desires by military force. Pahoran, well, I mean, we don't get to know what happens, what Pahoran is dealing with until the next chapter in his reply epistle to Moroni. But look, there's tension, there's storytelling going on here. So it was actually interesting. All the other minutia was, and then the armies ran around each other. And then the Nephites took the city of Mentai. And then the Lamanites didn't have anywhere to go. And then they fought. And then we're done. And then we pitched our tents. That's all we got in the last chapters. This has like conflict. This has actual military and legislative powers fighting with each other. There's intrigue.
I wish
it seems like
we could go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it seems like it just is giving people justification to do anything they want as long as they believe God's the one that gave them the permission to do so.
Precisely.
Exactly. So we're looking at chapters 61, 62, and 63. 63 is really short. 62 is really long. And I know that we can do this in a regular show, but there's no way we're going to be able to finish Alma in this one. And I don't want to start on something else. So we're going to have to stop a little bit early today, I think.
Well, because this conflict between Moroni and Pahoran kind of takes us all the way to the end of the book of Alma. So like this is kind of like this is setting up the premise and the conflict that's going on, and then we're going to resolve that through the rest of the book.
Yeah. Now, hopefully Shannon will be able to join us next week. She she said I don't know. I think she was on I think she was on drugs. That's what it was. That's what I can't talk to you because I'm on drugs.
I mean, aren't we all?
Didn't stop me. It doesn't stop me.
I just like to make up reasons why people can't. All right, so we've got another comment. This is from Bruno Zygerts, who offers $5 Canadian and says, "This make me think of Julius Caesar invading Gaul without Senate approval. Not to suggest that Joseph Smith might have copied it. No."
Right.
Joseph Smith was very explicit about copying Islam. He loved Muhammad was his template for a lot of shit.
Right. Well, and like I assume that people saw the themes when we had was it Amoron's troops that were camped out on the side of in the woods next to the river, and then they sprung out of the woods and attacked the Lamanites and killed all of them, pushing them into the river. I'm sure that rang true of Hannibal's exploits as well in the Roman Empire, right? So like there is pre-existing things going on that Joseph is pulling from. It's just a shame that he didn't pull from Napoleon, because that was like in the immediate milieu, and at least would have made the military tactics in this book make fucking sense instead of this childish, stupid shit that we're reading here.
The problem is that Joseph Smith and whatever team of, maybe there was a team of, because some of this was definitely written by other people. Yeah. So Joseph Smith did not make all this up alone and dupe a handful of innocents into following along with the scam. Clearly, other hands were involved in this conspiracy.
That's how I feel.
Would you?
I see it as a collage, a collection of multiple things. He's collaging things together, changing names, taking references for things from here and there.
Well, what I'm saying is that, the people made a big deal about how some of Joseph Smith's troop never recanted their claims of being able to, having seen the golden tablets or whatever. But it's clear that Smith did not act alone, that this is not entirely his doing by himself, because there's different slightly different. I mean, there's still behold and came to pass every other breath, but there's other subtle differences that he's taking inspiration or copying things. But it's sounding like there's other writers helping him in
I
some way.
thoroughly agree.
Yeah.
The thing is, what you're talking about, Aaron, here is that stating that as the case or as a likelihood requires conspiracy, requires Joseph Smith to be conspiring with multiple individuals, and also requires that those conspirators remained faithful to that conspiracy until the day that they died and never revealed anything about the conspiracy. So that is why the sole authorship theory is the prevailing theory, is consensus among Mormon historians that Joseph Smith dreamt this out of his head. My take on it is that Joseph Smith was in the middle or orchestrated criminal conspiracy his entire public life. So why would the Book of Mormon not be the product of conspiracy as well? He was always a criminal kingpin. So I see the Book of Mormon as a result of conspiring individuals working together to author this. But that is an opinion that is, well, always, right? He was always making money off of the Book of Mormon, right?
Literally making bank.
I want to, yes, exactly. Literally made his own bank that was based on, his whole religion, right? But I want to make the point that this is not consensus in the community of Mormon historians, that the prevailing theory is sole authorship. This all came out of Joseph Smith's mind. I do not accept that.
That's interesting that you have, these are critical scholars. These are non-believers. These are people who don't.
Some of them. Some.
And yet they're in consensus that this is the entire thing was just Joseph Smith's brainchild, despite the fact that we have different writing styles here.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, I would have to agree with you here that somebody else knew what the fuck was going on. It couldn't have been him by himself. There were other people making a shit ton of money and receiving political power. They had to be involved in the construct in some way. Just there's so much here that would imply that.
Well, and all of the individuals that we know worked with Joseph Smith, and it's understood that they operated as scribes. So that is John Whitmer, David Whitmer, Oliver Cowdery, Emma Smith to a limited extent. That these individuals worked, that they were scribes for Joseph Smith, and therefore they were just writing what he was dictating as he fucking read the shit out of his hat with a rock in it, whatever you like. Right. So the idea here is that all of these individuals, they never recanted their statements. Well, all of these individuals, every single one of them had a financial and a public reputational aspect or investment into the Book of Mormon. So it's not surprising that they never recanted their statements. It's not surprising they never took it back. The closest thing that we have to a recanting of it is Martin Harris, when he says that he viewed the golden plates with his spiritual eyes and not his physical eyes. That's the closest thing we have to a recanting of any of the witness statements. But every single person that is, when we open up a Book of Mormon at the front and we see the testimony of the 3 and the 8 witnesses, every single one of those individuals was connected to Joseph Smith or the Whitmer family through familial connections, and every single one of them had a financial incentive that this Book of Mormon would be believed to be what it actually is.
Oh yeah,
every single one of them. So you can never ignore that. So anytime that you see, Mormons, faithful Mormons saying that, oh, well, we have the 11 witnesses at the beginning of the gold plates, therefore, all of them are trustworthy individuals. They at no point in any of those 11 people's lives, 12 with Joseph Smith included, at no point in their lives did they not have a financial tie to the Book of Mormon being what they claimed that it was. So just always keep that in mind.
And this is a whole progression of his trickery as a magician from the old days of going treasure hunting and things and doing things that way. It's this perfect progression of him like building upon it and building upon it and building upon it. It's incredible.
So this harkens back to Mark Twain's famous quote: I could not feel more satisfied and at rest if the entire Whitmer family had testified.
Oh,
Exactly right. Yes. Mark Twain saw this shit for what it was, right? And he called it
love Mark
chloroform in
Twain.
print. He had a lot to say about Brigham Young and the Mormons and Joseph Smith. And he saw it for what it was, right? He was a critical thinker of his day.
So Lilith Liberated, gosh, that name sounds familiar somehow.
Yay, Lilith.
Says, as long as the author didn't catch him, he could always plagiarize from other sources as well.
That's kind of what I was saying, is that
yeah, but I don't see. There's a bit of writing style here. The changes in writing style in different chapters implies to me that because some of this stuff is isolated just to those chapters and doesn't occur anywhere else. It makes me think that he's not taking multiple inspirations from different books. So it just has to be, to me, for my opinion, for what little that's worth, that there are other people, other hands helping to write this.
it really just depends on what parchment's in your hat. You get a parchment, you put it in there. Depending on what parchment's in the hat is what you read from that day.
Well, and Aaron, I agree with you, and I even take it a step further, that I believe that it's very likely that there was a pre-existing source text that all of them were working with, and that in order to make the Book of Mormon a cohesive narrative, that they had to insert passages, they had to insert chapters, they had to insert information into a pre-existing text in order to make it a cohesive piece. Because that's why, in my opinion, when we read chapters that seem like they are isolated from the surrounding chapters that have a very distinct writing style, I believe that is something that they got lost into the source text, and they were like, hey, we need to bring this back around to the original narrative. They insert a chapter, they insert an epistle, they insert whatever that ties the story back together towards whatever continued from the pre-existing text. So I think that is an amalgamation that the vast majority of the Book of Mormon is created from a pre-existing text, and that they had to completely wholesale manufacture some chapters because the pre-existing text wasn't in completed form. That they had to manufacture some bits to get it to the point where it was from its pre-existing condition to publish ready full-length book. So I think, in my opinion, that parsimoniously explains why we see distinct signals of different authors within it, and we see things that are clearly wholly fabricated, but we also see things that seem to have a connective thread throughout the entire storyline of the entire book.
And there's things with the lost 116 pages where I think he had it pre-written, and so he's forgotten names, he's forgotten certain things, and so that's why we don't have like the brother Jared ever named, is maybe he was already named prior and he couldn't, did I put an extra letter in there? It's going to be found out that this is, so there's really weird things like that.
Yeah.
Gazalem, I got a question. Sometimes you appear with your head down and your hair down into the big shades. And sometimes you appear with the... Shut up! I'm talking. Do you not see me doing a show? We don't care about your barking. You have no authority here. Okay, sorry. But that's not the only mask you've worn, right? That's not, you wear different masks, right?
Oh, I have a bunch of different ones, but this is the only one I've been wearing.
Okay. Can I ask what the sigil is over your third eye?
Yeah, it's the Key of Solomon.
Oh, interesting. Very cool.
That kept all the demons in the jar.
I just needed to have a little bit of... I know sometimes, maybe somebody in the audience is wondering, the fuck has Gazalem got on his head?
That's right.
All right, so we will be doing Alma 61 a week from today. All right.
And maybe we'll finish the book of Alma, which means that we are on the home stretch, baby. Oh, once you're done with Alma, the rest of the Book of Mormon is a cakewalk, because all the books are shorter, all the books are more interesting after Alma.
They're more interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't wait for
100%.
Ether.
Well, so much shit happens. 3rd and 4th Nephi are action packed.
Oh,
entire cities exploding like shit is crazy in 3rd and 4th Nephi. And then we get to Ether right after that. And Ether is a fucking acid trip. I love Ether. So we got a lot of action later on in this book, and
I can't believe you're getting me stoked. You're getting stoked for Nephi.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah. For another Nephi. Yeah. Look, so just so listener viewers can get an idea, right? That is how much we have gone through. That is what's left. We are well past the 3/4 mark in this book now.
Wow. Nice. So you actually got me stoked for Nephi the way I'm already stoked for Godzilla -1. All right. Thank you, everybody. Gazalem, Bryce, and like I said before, it's wonderful to be able to read this. I'm just trying to how empty this would be if I tried to read this by myself the way most people do.
Yeah.
To have you guys to explain your personal experience, your academic experience with this, and give me all this perspective. This is so good. So thank you so much for being involved in this.
Explain where Manti is. Manti. Woohoo.
I love that city. It's a great little city.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Night.